And welcome back to a Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and I welcome you all back with my co host, Chris. Thanks for taking over this past week while I was in Boston on vacation. But I am back here traveling again, as you see, not a normal background, but we're here to give you a special episode here. We're going to give you the injury report, week 5 injury report, and we're going to go down a list of players here that have significant injuries or stuff to watch out for in the upcoming weeks. That being said, before we jump into those injuries, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification button so you get all the episodes upcoming to include our waiver wire, which will be dropping right after this. So stay tuned. Chris, kick us off. What do you got here on your injury reports? What are we looking
at? The first guy we'll talk about is T. Higgins. And he's one guy we'll have to keep an eye on. So he fractured his ribs in the game yesterday. He's at least going to be missing this week. I would say that's a tough injury to come back from in 6 days. Even with injections and painkillers that he's going to push through and try to play with. I do suspect he'll just miss 1 or 2 weeks. I don't think this is going to be a long-lasting injury, but he is going to be sidelined. Now, that might be good for you, considering it might allow you to play other people instead of being forced to kind of play a guy that was highly ranked coming into the season on an offense that was highly ranked coming into the season that's just underperforming. So it might be a good thing for you to kind of have him sit down for a couple of weeks in your lineup to see kind of how this offense shapes out before reintroducing him. But he's more than likely going to be coming back around week 6 or week 7. If it's all about pain tolerance with this. If he could deal with it and he could give it a go, they're going to try to he'll try to go out there and they'll try to get him out there, but I don't suspect him coming out this week at all. So I do think minimum 1 week or 1 game missed. And I would say probably maximum of 3 games missed. So that's kind of our time frame that we're looking at. And again, it's all about what he's going to be able to, how he's going to feel and react to the injections that he's going to get into the ribs and how those ribs are healing. He's a big, tall, lanky, physical receiver too. So, when he goes up for the ball and tries to go for the 50-50, he's going to be exposed. So, if he takes 1 hit, that's the problem. If they rush him back, it might be the first play of the game. He jumps up, makes a catch, and takes a hit, and then he's out.
Well, you don't want to mess around with abdominal injuries like that. He takes a bad hit. He could do something more damaging to his body and may even ruin the whole season for him. But I do share the same sentiment. This is an opportunity for you to sit a guy that you had trouble sitting for your own right. That being said, I would have had trouble sitting him as well, but now you can sit him with confidence because he's not playing and play somebody else that's probably blowing up on your bench or has had better matchups on your bench. So go ahead and do so. Who else we got next?
So the next guy we got is Javonte Williams. He had a hip flexor strain. So I don't think this is going to be a long-term injury. I think that they just pulled him out of the game. And, we have a guy that came in that played really well. However, the one concern that I have for this is that coming off of that knee surgery, this could affect, especially if it is more of a groin than a hip flexor, this could affect that knee and the stability of the knee. So that's my biggest concern with him. I don't suspect that he's going to miss too much time. He'll probably throughout this week be questionable and have that questionable designation. He might try to give it a go before the game starts, but we'll have to watch this week at practice how he's trending. I wouldn't be surprised if Wednesday and Thursday he either has a note, he's a DNP or a limited participant in practice. Really, Friday is going to be the big call for us. Is he going to be practicing on Friday? Either way, I don't think this is a good matchup for him anyway. I know Pacheco had a pretty good game yesterday against the Jets or Sunday night against the Jets, but this is not a great matchup for a team that isn't really running the ball very efficiently right now. So if I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm sitting him for at least a week, letting that heal before I'm throwing him back out there. But I don't think this is going to be a long-term injury.
No, the only thing I will say before you mention the next guy is how it ended up this past game. I know Chicago is a terrible defense against both pass and rush, but how it ended up with McLaughlin, that there's a chance that he may have supplanted himself as a opportunity play here and there for the Denver Broncos to now use because they know what they've got. So it could seed into some touches from Javonte, considering Javonte hasn't been putting the same output that McLaughlin did, and same thing with Pirine. It could eat more into Pirine, but you never know. Again, a guy coming off that knee injury, they could just decide to shelve him for a game, bring him back, and he may just be a split carry back. And for those who spent money on him higher than what we suggested, you may be wishing you hadn't. But again, this offense does not look good rushing the ball. You want the pieces of the air game here, and Russell Wilson, who's actually not playing too bad as a quarterback right now. So.
Right. And so the next two guys that we're going to go over are both quarterbacks. And good news on both of them as of today. So the first one is Justin Herbert on his non-throwing hand. He had a fracture in his middle finger. And so really, I don't think this is going to affect his game at all. What it's going to affect is his ball handling and how they're going to be having play designs for the next couple of weeks. I suspect they're going to be running more formations out of the shotgun than from under center, just to decrease the risk of him getting any jammed up or that finger not healing properly. This has happened to quarterbacks before, and they do that like hard, slim profile splint on them. And so they'll have some grip to it. So I'm not overly concerned about him fumbling the ball if he's getting hit. I don't think, we saw him come back to the game and run the ball, and he was taking snaps from under center with a giant splint on. So I don't think this is going to affect him at all. Again, this is something that during the week, he's probably going to have a questionable designation. He's probably going to miss a practice or two. That's normal. It's all about that Friday practice. What happens on Friday? Is he going to be practicing on Friday? And if he isn't, then that's going to go into the Sunday games on maybe there's a question whether he's going to play or not, but I don't suspect him missing any time.
No, I agree with you. I think the thing is, we saw it with Joe Burrow with his calf, having to take all the snaps out of the shotgun and how that changed the running game. Now, we suspect in 2 weeks we have Austin Eckler back. Whether they run that out of the shotgun or they run it out of the, underneath the center, I think Eckler's going to be fine here. It's just going to be one of the situations where he may be getting rid of the ball a little bit early. Like, who knows if he doesn't get the proper protection, how far down and how much time he's going to have to throw. He may be a little bit of gun shy, but I think Herbert's going to be perfectly fine. It's just going to be interesting to see how they decide to design plays, knowing that, like you said, ball handling in this, in the under center snaps, you have a chance to fumble, and in more handoff situations where he's rushing it or running back to the running back, you have chances to miss it. So look for a lot of right hand handoffs and look for a lot of shotgun snaps. Presumably.
Yeah, and on this injury too, this is typically, depending on where the break is in the bone and the finger, this is typically a 4 to 6 week healing process. This isn't going to require an extensive amount of rehab. His grip strength is probably perfectly fine, or he'll get it back fairly quickly. And again, it's his non-throwing hand, so we're not worried about that as much.
And he has a bye week here. So.
And there's a bye week smacked right in the middle of it. So I don't think he's going to miss any time whatsoever, but it is something that you should keep an eye on, because if it does re-aggravate itself and he starts losing the ball and it starts costing turnovers, they might be better off pulling him out. Although, luckily they got a win this weekend. They brought themselves back even. And so that's a good thing, but I in this league, you can't afford to take a loss anywhere, but you might be better off in the long run.
Quarterbacks with pins in their fingers. I think Favre did it back in the day and stuff. So they'll do it. And those are on throwing hands,
Yeah. And so the next guy we'll talk about is going to be Kenny Pickett. And so we just got some good news on him, like literally 15, 20 minutes before we started this video, is that it doesn't look like there's any serious damage at all to any ligament in his knee. So not even, a strain is what they're saying. He might not miss any time whatsoever. However, this is something we got to keep an eye on. Anytime you kind of have a knee injury, and there might be some, they did the MRI today. They might still have some inflammation. It might have been an unclear read on it. Although I'm really suspecting that if the MRI is showing that there's no significant damage, that's a really, really good sign. They might sideline him for a week anyway. And that might be a good thing for him in this offense. I mean,
not even for him, but for the offense. Yeah.
Yeah. This offense right now is terrible. It's terrible.
But it didn't look much better though when Mitch came in anyway. And last year we've seen Mitch in this offense before. It doesn't look that great either, but it's pretty bad.
No, but like, are you gonna Are you going to risk a guy that you drafted to be your franchise quarterback?
No.
And he has an unstable knee. You're going to risk him because your offense is playing like hot garbage.
No.
Like there's no one right now that's making any kind of plays for them. Pickett is really it's the only, or Pickens is the only one that's really making significant plays for this offense. I mean, even Jalen Warren, like, yeah, he looks good out there, but is he breaking ones off for 80 yards? No. Like he looks sharp running the football, but he's running for 15 yards, and like he's not breaking off long runs and moving this offense downfield. It looked terrible.
They know the passing game is not working. So why are defenses going to worry about that one time that it could be a 70-yard bomb here and there when you got to stop the only two most talented players outside of Pickens are your two running backs? And that being said, it makes it a much easier one-dimensional team. It's the same issue that Tennessee has, is if you can stop Derrick Henry, that team gets very flat and one-dimensional, and you're seeing it right now with Pittsburgh. They need Deontay Johnson back, and they need to get the ball downfield. Like, you don't have guys getting open often in coverage. And at the end of the day, too, that offensive line just needs to help Kenny Pickett out, too.
Yeah. And so we'll move on to the last guy, and probably the most significant injury from the weekend is Mike Evans. And what would a fantasy football season be without a Mike Evans hamstring pull? It wouldn't be fantasy football. This guy every year, and this is the problem with the hamstrings, and we've talked about this before in videos, that soft tissue injuries are the worst injuries to have, is because they're going to linger for your entire career. Yep, the biggest predictor of injury is past injury, and when you have hamstring injury, we've seen this already this season. So I know we had a couple comments that are saying, oh, he'll be back. They have a bye week in there, and he'll be fine. Like, he'll just miss one game. It's no. If they try to rush him back too soon, he's going to miss significant time. Look at Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp in the preseason, in training camp, pulled his hamstring, and he was coming off a knee injury too. But he pulled his hamstring. They tried to rush him back too quick, and he landed 5 weeks on the without playing football. The 1 week in preseason, last week in preseason, and then the first 4 weeks of the season. So this is a significant injury to the point where we've seen this happen before with Evans, and we've seen him miss 3-4 games. And so this is it's not a good sign. It doesn't look good for Mike Evans owners. It looks great for Chris Godwin owners, but doesn't look good for him. He's probably going to miss around 3 games with this injury.
And I wouldn't be surprised too if the first game he comes back that they keep him to more intermediate routes, snap count, red zone opportunities, where they can do a corner fade where he doesn't have to gear up and do a high gear to get down the sideline. I wouldn't be surprised if they held him there, because that's how they used him in the past when he came off his hamstring injuries. As you can see, a lot of small plays and get him in, because he's a touchdown machine. So use him where you need him the most until he's fully healthy. Yeah,
and there's 3 other injuries on 2 other teams that I kind of want to mention in this episode or in this video.
Breeze over them real quick.
Yeah, we'll breeze over really, really quick. Is Tre'Davious White is going to be out for the season with a torn Achilles. So for the Bills defense, they get Von Miller back, but they lose their best cover corner on their team. So that's a significant injury. The other 2 injuries are both on the Patriots defense, and this defense, who was very, very good, lost their number 1 corner in Christian Gonzalez, the rookie, the talented rookie. And they lost Matthew Judon, and Judon is probably
going to be a longer one than Gonzalez.
And
sure.
Judon's going to be out for the season. He's tore his bicep. So this is a significant injury for that Patriots defense, especially for an offense. That team was built around the defense. So did want to bring those 2 up, especially if you're a Patriots defensive owner. That's a big, big, big hit. He's the captain of this defense, so that's a big loss for them.
Well, that's our injury updates for week 5. Those are significant injuries. There's always these little ones here and there. Keep an eye out, too, on our shorts. If anything does pop up during the week, we'll be happy to update you on our shorts. And in order to do so, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification button so you get the notification when we drop our updates, shorts, as well as our start sits, our favorite starts of the week, our sits of the week, and all the shorts that we do from here on through each week. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.